It's stronger than steel, lighter than plastic. So why is nobody using it? There is a material sitting beneath your feet right now. Not in a laboratory, not behind a classified government door, right beneath your feet. It has been there for millions of years. Pulled from volcanic rock, cooled from lava, spread across every continent on Earth. It does not rust. It does not corrode. It survives fire at temperatures that caused steel to buckle and collapse. Engineers confirmed it in the 1960s. The Soviet military classified it for 3 decades, and an American industry quietly buried it in 1970, not because it failed, but because it worked too well. $20 billion is spent every single year repairing damage that this material would have prevented. The bridges are still corroding. The repair bills are still coming, and the rock is still sitting in quarries, waiting. Welcome to Hidden Fix Lab, the channel that digs where the industry hoped nobody would look. Now, before we go any further, if you're watching this and you have never subscribed, think of it this way. You would not walk away from a neighbor who just told you something the government spent 30 years hiding. Hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing. And what you learn here might save you thousands. And we want to know, where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop your city in the comments below. We read every single one. Let's begin. The year is 1923. A French engineer named Paul Day sits at a drafting table in Paris. He's not working on anything the world considers important. No government contract, no military brief, no corporate funding behind him. He is staring at a piece of volcanic rock, and he believes he can turn it into fiber. Most people walk past basalt every single day without knowing its name. It is the dark, dense rock that forms when lava erupts from deep inside the earth and cools rapidly on the surface. It is not rare. It is not exotic. It is the most common rock on the surface of the entire planet. Basalt covers the ocean floors. It forms the vast plateaus of the American Northwest. It shapes the black cliffs of Iceland. It spreads across the highlands of India, Siberia, and East Africa. Wherever ancient volcanoes pushed magma to the surface, basalt followed. And it hardened. And it waited. Paul Day filed a United States patent in 1923 for a process that seemed almost impossible at the time. He proposed melting basalt rock at approximately 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit and pulling the molten material through tiny nozzles. What came out the other side were continuous filaments, thin as thread, strong as nothing the industry had seen before. The patent was approved. The world ignored it. But the idea did not die. It traveled east. By the early 1960s, both the United States and the Soviet Union had independently confirmed what Paul Day suspected 4 decades earlier. When basalt rock is melted at the correct temperature and drawn through platinum-rhodium nozzles, the filaments that emerge measure between 10 and 20 micrometers in diameter. That is roughly 1/10 the width of a single human hair. And those filaments carry a tensile strength of between 3,800 and 4,800 megapascals. Standard structural steel, the same steel inside every bridge and building on Earth, measures between 400 and 500 megapascals. Basalt fiber is not slightly stronger than steel. It is roughly 8 to 10 times stronger in pure tensile testing. At the same time, it weighs approximately 75% less. The Soviet Defense Ministry did not hesitate. In the early 1960s, military scientists were moved to classified institutes in Kyiv, Ukraine. Research was nationalized. The findings were locked behind the walls of the USSR's Ministry of Defense. What was discovered inside those institutes over the next 3 decades was not shared with civilian researchers, commercial manufacturers, or the outside world. It stayed classified until the Soviet Union dissolved. This is not a story that begins in a boardroom or a startup pitch. It begins in a volcano. It begins with a French engineer who looked at a piece of ordinary rock and asked a question that the most powerful governments on Earth eventually decided was too dangerous to answer in public. The rock was free. The process was simple. The results were extraordinary. And that, it turns out, was exactly the problem. Steel rusts because it contains iron. That is not an opinion. That is chemistry. The moment iron meets oxygen and moisture, a reaction begins that no coating, no paint, and no engineering trick permanently stops. It only slows it. Every bridge, every overpass, every concrete structure reinforced with steel rebar is running a slow countdown. The rust expands. The concrete cracks from the inside, and the repair bill arrives on schedule every single year without fail. Basalt fiber contains no free iron. The reaction never starts. When basalt rock melts and pulls into fiber, something happens at the molecular level that most construction engineers were never taught in school. The silica, alumina, and iron oxide locked inside the volcanic rock fuse into a glass-like structure during the drawing process. That structure is chemically inert. Acids do not break it down. Alkalis do not dissolve it. Salt water does not touch it. The same chemical environment that destroys steel rebar inside coastal bridge columns in 8 to 12 years has essentially zero effect on basalt fiber over decades of continuous exposure. A peer-reviewed study published by researchers at the University of Leuven in Belgium tested basalt fiber composites against standard fiberglass under controlled ISO standards. The results were not ambiguous. Basalt came out 13.7% stronger in the standard 3-point structural bending test. Not slightly better. Measurably, reproducibly, and peer-reviewed better. A second study, conducted by the Army Research Laboratory, tested basalt woven fabrics directly against S2 glass, the highest performance military fiberglass in American production. Basalt performed within 10% of S2 glass across most mechanical categories and matched it entirely in ballistic protection testing. The report is publicly available through the Defense Technical Information Center. It was never classified. It was simply never acted upon. Basalt fiber also does not conduct electricity. This matters in ways most people never consider. Steel rebar near power infrastructure creates interference. Inside hospitals, steel reinforcement disrupts MRI imaging equipment. In any environment where electromagnetic sensitivity is critical, steel is a liability. Basalt eliminates that liability completely. It also withstands continuous operating temperatures of up to 800 degrees Celsius. Steel structural members begin losing load-bearing capacity around 400 degrees. In building fires, steel does not melt, it softens, it buckles. Basalt fiber composites maintain full structural integrity at twice that temperature. The science is not disputed. It has never been disputed. What was disputed, quietly, inexpensively, was whether the industry was ever going to let the science matter. In 1970, Owens Corning closed its basalt research program, not because the fiber failed, not because the manufacturing was too difficult, not because the science was wrong. They closed it because the science was right. Owens Corning was already sitting inside a $28 billion industry. Fiberglass, profitable, growing, and protected by something far more powerful than a patent. It was protected by building codes, by certification standards, by specification language written into engineering manuals that told every architect, every structural engineer, and every government contractor exactly which materials they were legally permitted to use. Basalt fiber was not on that list, and Owens Corning had no reason to put it there. What they did instead was redirect their own research. The knowledge gathered from basalt testing was quietly folded into the development of S2 glass, a higher performance fiberglass variant that captured the aerospace and military markets without threatening the core fiberglass business. The basalt research did not disappear. It was absorbed, repackaged, and the original material was left without a commercial home. The patents were filed, then allowed to expire. Nobody renewed them, because nobody needed to. The material was unpatentable at its source. Basalt rock belongs to no corporation. The process of melting it is over a century old. Any company on Earth can manufacture basalt fiber with the right equipment. There is no licensing fee, no proprietary formula, no trade secret chemistry. That is exactly why the industry had no interest in building a market around it. Dr. Ludmila Demjen, a materials researcher who spent years documenting basalt fiber adoption barriers across European construction markets, noted in a 2009 industry report that the primary obstacle to basalt fiber adoption was never performance. It was access. Specifically, access to the standards committees that determine what structural engineers are legally permitted to specify on a construction drawing. Those committees in the United States are populated largely by representatives from the fiberglass and steel industries. That is not a conspiracy. That is just economics. Meanwhile, Russia, Ukraine, and China listed basalt rebar in their national construction codes. It went into bridges, into tunnels, into coastal infrastructure where saltwater corrosion destroys conventional steel reinforcement within a decade. The United States spent over $20 billion in 2024 repairing corrosion damage to steel reinforcement in concrete structures. The Federal Highway Administration has been formally aware of this problem since the 1970s. The solution was sitting in a quarry. The industry made sure it stayed there. The industry controlled the bridges. It never controlled the hardware store. Basalt fiber is available for purchase today. No special license, no contractor approval, no certification process standing between an ordinary person and a material that outperforms steel, resists corrosion permanently, and costs a fraction of carbon fiber. The supply chain the industry built was designed to keep basalt out of construction codes. It was never designed to keep it out of the hands of people who simply went looking. And that changes everything. For the homeowner, the DIY builder, and the small contractor who stopped waiting for the industry to catch up. For anyone doing composite repair work, the entry point is basalt fiber cloth. It is available from U.S. suppliers, starting at approximately $5 per yard for a standard 4-ounce plain weave fabric. That cloth drops directly into any existing fiberglass workflow. The same epoxy resins bond to it identically. It cuts with scissors. It wets out with resin exactly like fiberglass cloth. The finished laminate comes out approximately 20% stronger than the equivalent fiberglass layup, with better impact resistance, superior vibration damping, and no respiratory hazard from cut edges because basalt fiber diameter sits above the threshold that makes certain fibers dangerous to breathe. Boat repairs, kayak construction, custom automotive bodywork, surfboard reinforcement. Any composite application where fiberglass is currently used, basalt cloth replaces it directly. Same process, better result. For concrete work, chopped basalt fiber is sold by the bag. Mixed into poured concrete at 6 to 8 pounds per cubic yard, it produces a slab with significantly higher impact and tensile resistance than plain concrete. Garden paths, fence posts, retaining walls, concrete countertops, fire pits, and any outdoor structure where embedded steel mesh would eventually rust and crack the surface from the inside out. Basalt chopped fiber does not rust, it does not expand when wet, it does not react with the alkaline environment inside cured concrete. It reinforces and stays reinforced permanently. Mark Henderson, a homeowner in rural Montana, mixed chopped basalt fiber into the concrete posts for a new fence line running along a road treated heavily with de-icing salt every winter. 3 winters later, the posts show zero surface cracking. The neighboring property, built the same season using conventional steel-reinforced posts, began showing visible crack lines along the base by the second winter. Same climate, same road salt, different material. The volcanic rock that built the continents is still sitting in quarries on every continent on Earth. The science confirming what it becomes when melted and drawn into fiber has been public since 1995. The only thing that was ever truly hidden was not the material. It was the permission to use it. Hidden Fix Lab does not wait for permission. And neither should the people watching this.